this is Cycle 3, Week 17, Grade Artist. We are talking about Andrew Wyeth this week. You can just review the other artists that we've done so far, just to talk about it and see maybe what the kids remember. I would only take 1 to 2 minutes to do this, though, just to kind of segue into this week. So Andrew Wyeth, I have your 3 facts on your script. But he was really inspired by the people around him in Pennsylvania and in Maine. So you might want to ask the kids if they've ever been there and if they can see kind of the landscapes in their mind of those places. Cool fact about him that he was homeschooled as well, and he also worked in what they called the regionalist style, and I have the definition of that in the parentheses. From when we started in the 1900s to like the current of these artists, they all kind of work a little bit in different styles, and that's great because it's allowing people to think differently rather than just saying you have to be a painter or a sculptor in the very traditional sense. So I would just encourage you to remind kids that we're reviewing different artists, but each of these artists is in a very different style as well. So we have our pictures that his self-portrait, and then Christina's world. I do have WRLD, that's just a typo, it is world. It's not like some weird spelling of it. And he also drew 4 illustrations for Last of the Mohicans and Treasure Island. So you can ask the kids if they've ever read either of those books, and then once you're done talking about that, if you can put the sticky note back on and the paper clip back on, that would be great. So maybe if you have Treasure Island or Last of the Mohicans, you can bring that in. That would be pretty cool too. What we're going to do today is we're going to do egg tempera painting. So it's not going to be messy. It's not any messier than any other week. It's just a little more involved, I think. So make sure that you give each kid a sheet of paper and a name label on the back. And you probably are going to need either you or a parent to help set up this beforehand. So you're going to grab some Dixie cups. I would say 6 to 12 for your class, with a egg separated. You just want the yolk in here. We don't want the white. I obviously can't really do this ahead of time because you need 1 yolk per thing, and then the yolks are going to break. So you're going to need to set this up that morning. You will get 12 eggs. You don't have to use them all, but just as an option. So you are going to have 12 of these, and then you are going to have what I'm calling watercolor tablets, but they are just like what you would get if you were to buy watercolors. I just popped them all out. So then you either need to do this ahead of time or bring it in. I think for my class, I'm going to bring it in because I think they'll think that's really fun, but maybe for the younger classes, it might be better if you can just do this ahead of time. So before I start this, we should talk about, so in cycle 1, we kind of did this. We did a little bit of a different style of making our own paint. But I would just talk to the kids, like, from cycle 1 to cycle 3, we're spanning hundreds of thousands of years, and we're still making paint. So kind of a crazy idea that you, like, Andrew Wyeth couldn't just go to the store and just buy it for himself. He was still making it. So this is kind of pre-made paint, so it's not exactly the same thing, right? He was using different pigments and dyes and those kinds of things. But just to give them the idea that it doesn't always just get purchased from a store. So I have like a spice coffee grinder here that I am going to bring in. We can send out a Voxer and see who has this to help out, but I'm going to bring this one. So I took one of the tablets and I put it in here and I just kind of shook it up so it got pretty fine ground. Okay? And if you want, you can talk about, like, they probably didn't have a coffee grinder to make this really easy. So do you think they used rocks, or do you think they used a hammer, or do you think they used, different kinds of things? So if you want, you could start with, just this one of these tablets and, have kids try and crush them up really fine and see, like, if that's going to work. You might have some kids that might think that's fun. If not, you can just go straight for the coffee grinder. I think I'm going to skip that and let the kids grind them because I think they're going to think that's more fun. So I'm going to take this one tablet and where's it? I'm going to dump it in. And then your brushes should be in your blue bin in a baggie. When you are done with these and you wash them and clean them, keep the bag open, please, to make sure that they're dry. Because if you close the bag, then they'll get mold. And they're brand new this year, so we want to try and keep them nice. So I'm taking a brush and I'm going to stir it. And this was only one tablet. So I think what you could do for an experiment is maybe a couple colors you could double up. They're not all the same, but you could do like a blue and a blue that are pretty close, and they'll make their own color. But this is one tablet, and so maybe on some of them you do one tablet, on some of them you do two tablets. You can just kind of experiment with it. It's not necessarily like a hard fast. But once you have all of these colors, you can see that, you're just going to let the kids paint a picture. There's nothing super detailed about what they're going to paint. If you think that they're going to need some direction, then think about that. But this is what, I mean, it comes out really nice. It's just watercolor with, watercolor color with egg yolk. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to take it home because there's egg on it, so we can't put it in their art folder because I don't know if it's, I think it'll mold. Anyway, obviously put tablecloths down. This will be kind of messy. Don't need any of the paint left over. You can use it for the second class if you want. I'm guessing they're going to want to make their own though, so you can just throw all that out and then just make sure to wash your brushes really good. And like I said, keep the bag open and make sure that they're dry before you put them away. And I think that's it. It's just kind of a creative idea that's different to talk about different styles that artists used to try and get the effect and the color and the style that they wanted for their pictures. Good luck.